All right, Griddle Nation, what's going on? This is Mike back with GriddleKing.com, and today I wanted to discuss the key differences between both Blackstone Griddle's 17-inch offerings. I've received a couple messages about the E-Series Griddle where people were saying they were on the fence of whether or not they wanted to buy the Blackstone 17-inch electric griddle versus Blackstone's 17-inch tabletop griddle. Now, this is the Adventure 17. So they do have two different 17s, but they're both propane driven. They both have the same griddle surface. So for the sake of just saying this is the propane version of a Blackstone 17 and this is the electric version of the Blackstone Griddle 17. And I wanted to share with you guys and just go over the key differences, because I believe if you're considering buying one and you're on the fence, there's some very glaring and important differences you should know between these two griddles. So with that said, let's jump into it. All right, so the most important and most obvious difference between these two is the power source. So on the new Blackstone 17-inch electric griddle, this is powered by electricity. It has a full cord that goes into the back and plugs into your house plug or your RV plug, but this is powered with electricity. This is powered with propane. Now, you can run these on the 1-pound adapter that it comes with, or you can get a hose converter kit and run a full-size propane tank to your griddle. However, for the sake of what's powering this is electric and this is propane powered. Now, those make up pretty key differences in what you can do with these things. So we'll go over who each one is for at the end, but just keep in mind that just because there's a power difference of electricity versus propane, there's still pretty drastic differences between the two overall. And the buyer who wants this could be very different from the buyer that wants this. I don't believe these are pretty much interchangeable griddles. All right, so let's talk about heat for these two griddles. So on the Blackstone E-Series, you have, because it's an electric griddle, you have a digital display below here, and you have the option to select between 200 and 500 degrees Fahrenheit, and any 5-degree increment in between, you can go from 205 all the way up to 495. So 200 to 500 degrees Fahrenheit is what you can expect to cook with temperature-wise. And it's a precise temperature. So I can select, 255 or 345 or 475. And I know exactly what temperature this griddle is going to be running at. With the Blackstone, you have one knob that you turn on to light it, and then you have 3 readings on the knob: low, medium, and high. And so you can guess where you're at. You're roughly between medium and high. You're roughly at low. You're roughly between, low and medium. But you don't really know unless you get a thermal temperature gun and a laser temperature gun. And you can just shoot it at the surface and know your heat zones, what's actually what temperature. But for the sake of just throwing these together and cooking something, this will be precisely between 200 and 500. This will be eyeballed and guesstimated between low, medium, high, and just using your own cooking skills to determine what's cooking too fast, too slow, what needs more heat, what doesn't. And this one, I should clarify, runs at 12,000 BTUs on a single burner element. So 12,000 BTUs, low, medium, high, and digital electric heating element between 200 and 500. All right, indoor-outdoor use. This is another key difference. So many times on my website, one of my #1 articles is people wanting to know if they can use their Blackstone griddle indoors. So I have my opinions on this. Blackstone doesn't share them, obviously, because they're a company and they have to be careful about liability. So my initial response to my blog post was, sure, you could use this indoors, use it in a well-ventilated area, and just be mindful of carbon monoxide, because it can happen if the propane mixture is not, if the propane is not burning the way it should, it can create carbon monoxide. It's generally not safe. But Blackstone clearly states on their website that the Blackstone 17-inch tabletop griddle is not approved for indoor use. Now, understandably, Blackstone's the company that needs to protect their liabilities, and people going in their house using their propane combustion griddle and burning their house down or getting sick or getting killed with carbon monoxide, they can't chance those, and they can't say, yeah, use it in your house, just open a window, or do it in the garage, open a window. They got to say, no, it's not approved for indoor use. And I understand. So this propane is not approved for indoor use from Blackstone. This griddle is approved for indoor use from Blackstone. It's the only griddle Blackstone has in their line that is approved for indoor use. So if it's terrible weather, you just want to do breakfast on the griddle, or you live in an apartment, you can't have a backyard griddle, then this is going to be for sure an excellent choice to use and an all-around good griddle. All right, hoods. Let's talk about hood. Welcome to the Blackstone hood. The Blackstone 17-inch griddle does not come with a hood. Now you can buy aftermarket third-party griddle hoods. Blackstone may even make a 17-inch griddle hood, but this will not come with a hood. This griddle, as you can see, comes with a hood, and it's, first off, it's see-through, which is awesome because you can see what you're doing when you're cooking without lifting the hood and losing your heat. And this hood actually removes very easy. You just open it up, pull it out, put it back on. So you can pull it off that quick, or you can just prop it up. It's very versatile, very good design, very easy to use, and this comes with a quality good hood. So if you like to cook on a griddle with a hood and you like to cook indoors, whoop, we are sticking with the E-Series griddle. If you like to cook outside and you don't care about a hood, whoop, doesn't matter. The Adventure 17 or the Tabletop 17 is going to be your griddle. All right, cooking surface size. This is very interesting to me, and I haven't pulled out the tape measure, but just eyeballing it, I can kind of see it's true. And let's talk about cooking real estate on the surface. They're both called Blackstone 17-inch griddles. So the thought would be, well, I have roughly that, 17 inches of cooking space. But they figure cooking space in square inches. A Blackstone E-Series, their 17-inch E-Series griddle has 234 square inches of cooking real estate. So that means all the way around this thing, you have 234 square inches to cook on. On this, you have 278 square inches to cook on. And if you can't see it on the video, but essentially the back of this griddle stops flush with the back of the griddle body. And on this one, the back of this cooking surface actually extends over the rear of the base of the griddle. So you actually do have a little bit more real estate working backwards. And so although they're both 17-inch griddles from Blackstone, this one is going to have roughly 40 square more inches to use. So if you need that real estate on your portable griddle, this is going to be the one that's going to offer more real estate. All right, let's talk about cooking surface material. So these are very different in terms of what surface you're cooking on. So this is a cold rolled steel. It requires seasoning before the first use. It requires a thin layer of oil and cleaning after every use. And every now and then you may have to re-season this or strip it and re-season it, depending on if it gets rust or other things. The new E-Series Blackstone is a titanium, aluminum, or titanium ceramic coat. Let me look it up because I don't want to screw that up. All right, so this one is going to be a ceramic coated titanium non-stick surface. Now the key difference is it comes non-stick and there is no seasoning to be done to this. Even Blackstone says this is not to be seasoned. This is just to be cooked with the way it is. Much like a non-stick pan you buy at your Walmart or Costco. You get some non-stick pans for your kitchen. They have a non-stick surface. This is the same idea. Now my concern about the E-Series going forward is, and you may be thinking this already, and that is, well, when I go buy a non-stick pan, yeah, it's non-stick for the first month, 2 months, 6 months, but then for whatever reason, they lose their non-stick coating. Now, I don't know if that's the case with Blackstone and their E-Series edition. I don't know the quality of this non-stick surface, and I don't know the longevity of it. I will absolutely update videos if the longevity sucks or it doesn't work out. And on the flip side, if it's great for 6 months, I'll do a video about that because that matters. You don't want to spend $100 on a griddle and then in a month or two, the nonstick surface doesn't work, and it's also not something you can season. So the jury is out on whether or not the nonstick surface will last the test of time, but as of now, it's very nonstick. It's very enjoyable to use, and there's no seasoning process. So what that means when you're cooking is that you will use less oil, less butter, potentially making it healthier options. If you need healthier options with less oil and butter, this is another great choice because of the nonstick surface. We kind of touched on this earlier, but I will go through it one last time, or one quick point, and that is the temperature control. Again, this has a digital 200 to 500 range of heat in Fahrenheit degrees. You can move them at 5 degrees at a time, anywhere between 200 and 500 Fahrenheit. This has one knob that says low, medium, high. You kind of have to eyeball it or temperature gauge it with a laser temperature gun, or just use your own knowledge in cooking and kind of guesstimate where you're at. Let's talk about price. So I picked this up at Walmart in Northern Colorado for I think $87, somewhere mid to high 80s, so roughly under 90 bucks. This one I picked up, I want to say at Walmart for roughly $80 or $90 as well. So roughly these are going to be the same price. Now you might find it for a little bit more, might even find it for a little bit less, but these are both sub $100 in that $80 to $90 range. I will say that because this is so hard to find right now, because there's not many out there and people are buying them up as they see them, you might see these nowhere near 80 or 90. You might see people gouging them online for 100 or more, just trying to make a couple extra bucks on supply and demand. But essentially, when the supply gets leveled out, I would expect that this is a $90 griddle along with this one. The last one is going to be availability, and I kind of touched on it, but essentially this is so new. They're trying to field them right now. I saw on their Instagram page that they're trying to get these distributed by March, April, so this month and next month. So I would assume you'll see these at all your Walmarts and other places pretty soon. This one, if you go with just the Adventure 17, I believe it's a Walmart only product, but their Tabletop 17, which is essentially the same thing with a silver body instead of a black body, you can find them everywhere. They're at REI, they're at Walmart, they're at Camping World, they're on blackstone.com. You can get them all over the place. So this is going to be much more readily available, and this is going to be readily available once they finish distribution nationally over the next 60 days. Final thoughts on who this is for, each one. If you live in an apartment, you're not camping or going outside much, and you need to be able to cook on a griddle without having to sacrifice your patio space, or you can't go outdoors and cook, you don't have the room, the E-Series Griddle is for you. This is something that's versatile, easy to clean, it's approved to use indoors, it's safe to use indoors, and if you generally cook indoors but just want a good Blackstone Griddle product to cook indoors that's safe, this is your guy. If you are an outdoorsy person, you like to go camping, tailgating, picnics, and you want the ability to bring your griddle with you, then this is going to be for you. This is going to run off propane. Doesn't matter if you're near a power source. You can run this as long as you got some propane. You're good to go. Oh, and one other thing. Because this is a ceramic coated titanium nonstick surface, you are not to use metal parts. I actually have griddle spatulas outside. I just didn't feel like going to get it, so I grabbed a metal one from the house. But no metal products on this because you will scratch and damage the coating on here. So you will need to use something plastic when you're cooking that will not stick or scratch the cooking surface. On the Blackstone Adventure 17 or the 17 standard propane tabletop with the cold rolled steel surface, you can use any metal object, won't matter. Reseason and oil as needed after each use. All right, and so if you're someone who's outdoorsy, you love the nature, you're always cooking outside, camping outside, tailgating outside, partying with friends, if you're an outdoor griddle cooker, you're going to want to go with the propane-powered griddle. Now, obviously the biggest difference is one's electric, one's propane, but it doesn't just fall into if it's propane, if you're outside, you want propane, if you're inside, you want electric. There's lots of differences, as you can see, between these two griddles. So between the power source, the heating ability, the digital display, the cooking surface, the seasoning process, the cooking real estate, availability, all of these things play into a purchase decision. So if you were on the fence and you were one of the people that emailed me and you were on the fence between the electric one versus the propane 17-inch Blackstone griddle, hopefully seeing all these differences laid out in a very ABC method will help you make a buying decision. I'll link both of these below. And hopefully this video was valuable to you. Hopefully it made your griddle purchase a little bit smoother. And with that said, get out there, get a griddle, get griddling, join the Griddle Nation, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.